Hello everyone. Today we're going to look at Unit 25 from the B1 course. Uh, we will work on the pronunciation and look at some of the structures, the grammatical structures. We will work on the pronunciation and look at sorry about that. Look at some of the structures, for example, um, the past, past perfect, and past progressive. We'll look at those. Okay, let's get started with the phonetics group and the English phonetics group. So let me just take you to the page. We're going to, as usual, repeat these sentences. I will start with the first column, which is in the phonetic script, in the phonetic symbols. Listen, read, and then repeat. I will leave a little space for you to repeat. Then we will do the same with the English. So let's get started. Could you tell me, could you tell me when to get off? When to get off? For Trafalgar Square. For Trafalgar Square. Who is it? Who is it? It's me, Jessica. It's me, Jessica. Oh, I didn't recognize your voice. Oh, I didn't recognize your voice. I've got room in my car. I've got room in my car for one more person. For one more person. Wouldn't it be fun? Wouldn't it be fun to learn sailing? To learn sailing. It would probably be it would probably be horribly expensive. Horribly expensive. A 3-month course. A 3-month course. A 10-day workshop. A 10-day workshop. A weekend's fun. A weekend's fun. Try and get some sleep. Try and get some sleep. You have a long day tomorrow. You have a long day tomorrow. Can you use a computer? Can you use a computer? Can you drive a car? Can you drive a car? Are you a good driver? Are you a good driver? Are you good at sports? Are you good at sports? What foreign languages can you speak? What foreign languages can you speak? Have you got any references? Have you got any references? I can't come to the meeting. I can't come to the meeting. This afternoon. This afternoon. I'm very busy. I'm very busy. Can you speak more slowly? Can you speak more slowly? Can you repeat that? Can you repeat that? Can I see you after the lesson? Can I see you after the lesson? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Tell us exactly what happened. Tell us exactly what happened. Dinner was over. Dinner was over. And several of the guests had ordered drinks. Had ordered drinks. I saw a woman. I saw a woman come into the bar. Come into the bar. Then I heard the noise. Then I heard the noise. It sounded like a gunshot. It sounded like a gunshot. Somebody screamed. Somebody screamed. The woman was lying on the floor. The woman was lying on the floor. At first, at first, I thought she was dead. I thought she was dead. I got such a fright. I got such a fright. I dropped the tray of glasses. I dropped the tray of glasses. I just I've just come back. I've just come back from a week in South Africa. From a week in South Africa. Really lucky you. Really lucky you. What was it like? What was it like? The scenery is incredible. The scenery is incredible. And the beaches are fantastic. And the beaches are fantastic. We went scuba diving. We went scuba diving. You didn't. You didn't. That must have been such fun. That must have been such fun. It was amazing. It was amazing. Hopefully, hopefully, we'll go back at Easter. We'll go back at Easter. Apparently, apparently, it's the best time to go. It's the best time to go. The doctor told me. The doctor told me to unbutton my shirt. To unbutton my shirt. Then he asked me. Then he asked me to take a deep breath. To take a deep breath. She said she'd waited. She said she'd waited the whole afternoon. The whole afternoon. He phoned to say he'd been caught in the traffic. He'd been caught in the traffic. I failed my driving test. I failed my driving test. For the third time. For the third time. Oh, poor you. Oh, poor you. That must have been so disappointing. So disappointing. The book was so gripping. The book was so gripping. I couldn't put it down. I couldn't put it down. Very good. Now, repeat that as many times as you can. And if you have a problem with one of the sentences, go back and repeat. Just go back to the last sentence and repeat it again and again and again. And you can take the words, the sentences from the description. You can just copy the list and put that in your Google Translate and see the meanings if you don't understand all of the meanings of the words and of the phrases. We will now go to the work that we will do with the grammar. And I just wanted to remind you also to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell, click the bell so that you get all the notifications. I think I will do the grammar from this page. Yes, let's do it this way. It's bigger, you can see more. And let's start with these polite questions. May I, could I, can I? Okay. May I please borrow your pen? B, could I please borrow your pen? C, can I please borrow your pen? These are questions with may, could, and can. The possible answers are yes, yes, of course, yes, certainly, of course, certainly, sure, okay, uh-huh, which means yes. I'm sorry, but I need to use it myself. Okay, if you're refusing, you will give an excuse here. People use may I, could I, and can I to ask polite questions. The questions ask for someone's permission or agreement. A, B, and C have basically the same meaning. May I, could I, can I. Can I is a little more informal, a little less formal than may I or could I. Please can come at the end of the sentence. May I borrow your pen, please? Please can be omitted from the question. May I borrow your pen without please? If you use please with can, it's also considered polite. Um, could is not the past form of can here, just to remind you. Now let's look at some questions with those would you, could you, will you, and can you. Um, Polite question A, would you please open the door? B, could you please open the door? C, will you please open the door? And D, can you please open the door? The possible answers are just like we saw above. Yes, yes, of course, certainly, I'd be happy to. Of course, I'd be glad to. Sure, it's informal. Okay. Uh-huh. That means yes. I'm sorry. I'd like to help, but my hands are full. I'm sorry. I'd like to help, and you give an excuse. People use would you, could you, will you, and can you to ask polite questions. The questions ask for someone's help or cooperation. A, B, C. Would you, could you, will you? I'm asking your cooperation to open the door. D, yes, also. Can is less formal. May is not used when you is the subject of a polite question. May you please open the door? We don't use may, okay? I use may with I. May I please borrow? But we don't use may you. Okay, let's look at the past perfect. First of all, we have a situation. Jack left his apartment at 2 o'clock. Looks like he's leaving. He's got a tennis racket, tennis balls. He's dressed to play tennis. And arrived at his apartment at 2:15 and knocked at the door. 2 o'clock, Jack left. 2:15, Anne arrived. So we can say that when Anne arrived, Jack wasn't there. He had left. So the action of leaving comes before the action of arriving. And that's generally how we use the past perfect. It's used when a speaker is talking about two different events at two different times in the past. One event ends before the second event happens. Okay, look at these two events. Jack left his apartment. Now, be careful. We're not saying that Jack is at his apartment or is not at his apartment. This is an event of leaving. The leaving finished. Anne arrived at his apartment. So to show the time relationship between the two events, we use the past perfect had left to say that the first event, Jack leaving his apartment, was completed before the second event. Anne arriving at his apartment occurred. We can say Jack had left his apartment when Anne arrived. He'd left, I'd left, they'd left. Okay, these are different ways of contracting. Let's look at the present perfect and the past perfect. Okay, the present perfect we see is an action or event that happened before now, but somehow there is a link to now. I'm not hungry now, I have already eaten. All right, I have already eaten. This is a action that happened in the past. Why is it linked to the present? Well, it's linked to the present with this word already, but also with the idea that I'm not hungry now. So this eating that we did before is somehow linked to now. Okay, it's not continuous. I'm not telling you I'm eating, but I'm telling you that I'm not hungry now because I have already eaten. The present perfect expresses an activity that occurred before now at an unspecific time in the past. The past perfect, instead, before 1 o'clock, and here we have 1 o'clock. So I was not hungry at 1 o'clock p.m. I had already eaten. So you can see that there is something similar about the past perfect with the present perfect. If you move this line of now to the past, let's say at 1 o'clock, then we have a similar idea. I was not hungry because I had already eaten. So there is some kind of link here to the situation at 1 o'clock. The past perfect expresses an activity that occurred before another time in the past. In E, I ate at noon. I was not hungry at 1 p.m. because I had already eaten before 1 p.m. Okay, I was not hungry at 1 o'clock. So I'm not telling you when exactly I had eaten, right? You don't know when. It's not important when. Just like here, it's not important when I ate. Let's look at the past progressive. The past progressive, we have an action that is in progress, right? We began eating and then Bob came. So the eating was in progress. I was eating when Bob came. So Bob came at this point. I was eating because I started in the past, and at the moment that Bob arrived, I was eating. So this is a very clear relationship. In fact, if I say I was eating without any reference to time, it's nonsense. It's not possible. The past progressive expresses an activity that was in progress at a particular time in the past. I began to eat at noon. Bob came at 12:20. My meal was in progress when Bob came, right? So you have quite clearly the action is in progress. Let's look at the past perfect again. I had eaten when Bob came. Here, Bob arrived and I finished eating, so this activity was finished. An activity that was completed before a particular time in the past. I finished eating at noon. Bob came at 1. My meal was completed before Bob came. Now, if you have the access to the course, you can do exercises 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 5A and 5B. Let's look at such and so. Okay, such is used to modify a noun. So is used to modify an adjective. Both of them add emphasis in a similar way as very. Similar to very. Such a fright is very much fright. Okay, what is fright? If you don't know fright, you should probably check that. It's very easy to find fright definition. You can check here. You can see that you can choose a language to translate that. If you need a translator, it's very, very easy to use fright. So fright is a noun, very much fright. Such a big book, a very big book. So important, very important. So here we have so for an adjective and very important, so important. Here instead we are modifying nouns. Fright is a noun, book is a noun. When you see such, the noun can be countable or uncountable, but you must use an article for a countable noun. Such a fright, that is a countable. Such a big book, such water, you could say, such water without a. I got such a fright, I dropped a tray of glasses. Fright is countable. That must have been such fun. Okay, fun is uncountable. Let's look at ways that we can express cause and effect using this such and so. Because the weather was nice, we went to the zoo. It was such nice weather that we went to the zoo. The weather was so nice that we went to the zoo. A, B, and C have the same meaning. Such and that. Okay. D, it was such good coffee that I had another cup. Excuse me. It was such a foggy day that we couldn't see the road. Okay, so such plus that encloses a modified noun. Such nice weather. That's what we're talking about. Such, an adjective, and then a noun, and then that. So we have the uncount noun, such a, adjective, and a noun, that. So, such a foggy day that. It's very, very important that you understand the order of these words. Let's look at F. The coffee is so hot that I can't drink it. G. I'm so hungry that I could eat a horse. H. She speaks so fast that I can't understand her. And I. He walked so quickly that I couldn't keep up with him. Okay, now so is different than such. So, with that, encloses an adjective or an adverb. The coffee is so hot. I'm so hungry. Speaks so fast or so quickly. Adverbs. So we have so plus the adjective or the adverb plus that. J. She made so many mistakes that she failed the exam. So, sorry. He has so few friends that he is always lonely. L. She has so much money that she can buy whatever she wants. M. He had so little trouble with the test that he left 20 minutes early. So and that is used with many, few, much, and little. So many mistakes, so few friends, so much money, so little trouble. So you can modify your noun using so with the adjectives many or few. It was such a good book that I couldn't put it down. I was so hungry I didn't wait for dinner to eat something. Sometimes, particularly in speaking, that is omitted. So, such a good book, I couldn't put it down. I'm not saying that. Here, if you have access, you can do exercise 6. Let's look at the reporting speech with the imperative. The imperative expresses an order, a command, or a request. The subject is you. Unbutton your shirt. Here, the subject is you, so I'm saying you unbutton your shirt. Take a deep breath. You take a deep breath. But because it's imperative, you don't need to say you. When we report an imperative sentence, we use an infinitive with to and a reporting verb. Look at the example. The doctor told me to unbutton my shirt. Told is the reporting verb, and to unbutton is the imperative in the infinitive form. So the doctor probably said, unbutton your shirt. The doctor asked me to take a deep breath. In this sentence, asked is the reporting verb, and asked me to take. Okay, you'll notice that we have both of these verbs are using me. Told me, asked him, asked her. If the imperative sentence is negative, it begins with don't, not, used to. Do not use don't, begins with don't, use not to. Okay, so if the imperative is don't breathe, said the doctor told me not to breathe. So we just have to put not before the to in the infinitive. In order to make the infinitive, the imperative, we put don't or do not. Okay, let's look at must as deduction. Must is used to express obligation. In the present tense, it has three forms. I must go, I have to go, I've got to go, which also can be I've got to go. Okay, we do not contract this form. We don't say I've to go, but we can say I've got to go. However, there is only one form of the past to express obligation. I had to go, the past of must, and have got to. So, three forms in the present, one form in the past. But must can also express deduction. I imagine, I guess. The man driving the Ferrari must be rich. I imagine the man in the Ferrari is rich, the man driving the Ferrari. If you want to use must as deduction in the past, you can use the following form. That must have been disappointing. I imagine that the situation was disappointing. So we have must plus have and the third form of the verb. Always have, because there is no change for the person here. That, those must have been, we must have been, they must have been, I must have been. It always is with have and then the third form. Let's look a little bit at the degrees of certainty in the past time. Here's an example. Why wasn't Mary in class? A, 100% sure she was sick. B, 95% she must have been sick. I am deducting, you see. In A, the speaker is sure. In B, the speaker is making a logical conclusion. I saw Mary yesterday. I understood that she was sick. I assume that is the reason why she was absent. I can't think of another good reason, okay? Must have been sick. Why wasn't she in class? It's in the past. I'm deducting. If I say she may have been sick, she might have been sick, or she could have been sick, now I am expressing 50-50. I'm not sure of the possibility. So, may have been sick, might have been sick, could have been sick, they're all the same. In the negative, why didn't Sam eat? Okay, 100% sure Sam wasn't hungry. You see, I'm very sure he wasn't hungry. E, 99%, Sam couldn't have been hungry, or Sam can't have been hungry, cannot have been. The speaker believes that it is impossible for Sam to have been hungry. You see, can and could are like 99%. I'm expressing the impossibility, but I'm not 100% sure. You see, could in the positive is less than 50%, but in the negative, couldn't becomes like 99%. 95%, Sam must not have been hungry. I'm saying that this is logical, that he must not have been hungry. It's logical conclusion, 95%. It's a little less than I couldn't have been hungry, he must not have been hungry. Less than 50% may not have been, might not have been hungry. I am expressing one possibility, okay? This is 50-50, that he was not hungry, okay? Notice that might and may, 50% positive, may not, 50% negative. Well, that concludes the lesson. It was very good. Listen and repeat those structures. You will actually uh, memorize them by the sound, which is completely different than just reading and trying to memorize the sound, so that when you go to speak, you speak and that sound will tell you this is okay, or it will say no, that doesn't sound good, that must have been difficult. Sounds good. That must been difficult. The sound is not good. How do you arrive there? Repeat, repeat, and repeat. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the lesson. Have a nice day, a nice evening, a nice morning. See you the next time.